Good evening, everybody. Welcome to your Rangers review post-match reaction video after Rangers' 3-1 defeat to Porto in the final Europa League group stage game. And Rangers taking the lead in that one, but succumbing to the Portuguese side. All goals coming in the first half, incidentally. And we can now focus all our attention on the league. Chris Jack joins me. First of all, Chris, how goes it?
I think you've summed it up perfectly well there, Derek. So I just press the end button and we can all go to our beds. No more needs said. It was 90 minutes that we've seen before in this competition this season. 90 minutes that kind of sums up a European campaign to forget. Right since that very first ball was kicked in the Champions League, there's been very, very few high moments or good moments for Rangers, and those glory days of big wins and big nights and prolonged European runs. They feel like quite a long time ago now, unfortunately, for this side when it comes to European competition.
Yeah, although started really well tonight, a surprising lead. Jerry Gassama with a header, no less. Good cross from Finlay Curtis over towards the back post, headed into the ground, and Rangers started well, and then midway through the first half, Porto equalised. Mora started the move just inside his own half. Nico Raskin just too tight to him. He slipped at a vital moment, allowed him just to turn and set up a move. Rangers failing to deal with a ball into the penalty area. The ball fell to Mora, and he just fired past Butland, who was just stranded. Goal number 2 was, as Wigan manager Ryan Lowe would put it, a calamity. An absolute joke of a goal to lose. Primary skill defending. That long ball diagonal over the top. James Tavernier caught under the ball to begin with. But then it somehow breaks towards Jack Butland, and he fails to deal with it. It bounces up into Mora, and he's able just to tap into an empty net. A real shambles of a goal. Goal number 3 arrived shortly after. Emmanuel Fernandez nodding into his own net from a corner, which was unfortunately just sort of off balance, and he headed past Butland. Second half, of course, Danny Rule made a change at half-time, change of shape. We've seen Jayden Magoma taken off. He has played a lot of games, so probably a good move, bringing on John Suter at the break. Moved Max Aarons to the left back, James Tavernier to the right-hand side, and I thought Rangers were relatively decent enough in that second half. It's fair to say Porto didn't have to, they sort of slipped down the gears somewhat, but I thought Rangers competed well enough without really threatening too much. We had sort of half chances in the game. Porto certainly had opportunities to make the scoreline even more handsome than it was. But certainly, I think 3-1 over the piece. I was a tad concerned at half-time, Chris, that we could be on the receiving end of a real battering, which I felt could have affected morale heading into Sunday. But credit to them to come out and stem the flow second half.
When that third one goes in, and once again this side have conceded goals in quick succession. Now, you could run through the goals there. It's a succession of mistakes for all of them. 3 really, really poor goals to concede. You're not going to get away with that level of defending and goalkeeping at any level, never mind at this level and against a Porto side that are clearly a very accomplished outfit and are doing very well. So Rangers shooting themselves in the foot, having done that once and then compounded it and done it again and then compounded that by doing it again. My mind did have a quick glance back to that night in Bruges, unfortunately. This could get quite ugly quite quickly. Thankfully, it didn't, and Rangers were able to get through to half-time. Second half, competed fine, but as you say, I think Porto knew the job was done. Now, they had got the 3 goals and the 3 points that they had come for, so it didn't escalate in the manner that night in Bruges did, or really threatened to. But you have to stop conceding goals in that manner. You can't afford to ship goals. Is it 3 in 14 minutes or so? You're going to give yourself, no matter what level and against what opposition, if you do that, you're going to find yourself in a very difficult position. The clean sheet record up until tonight obviously had been good. It's like 5 on the spin, 5 out of the last 8 in this 8-game winning run. So there had been a lot to like about Rangers. but you then step it up a level. You step up the quality of the opposition and all the feelings in terms of the positioning of the centre halves, in terms of James Tavernier's legs, in terms of someone like Homer. Something has an experience. The mistakes from a goalkeeper that we've seen mistakes from. As soon as you step it up a level and you're playing a side of that quality, so you're not going to get away with it. They are going to punish you. Hopefully they've got it out their system. We certainly don't want a repeat come Sunday afternoon through at Easter Road, do we?
We certainly do not. The good thing is Rangers won't come up with a team as good as that for the rest of the season. So there is that. So I'm not going to go two-footed on them. But the goals that were conceded were avoidable for me, which is pretty tough to take, albeit Porto are a far better side than Rangers, let's be honest. I mean, Benfica beat Real Madrid last night and Porto are 10 points ahead of them in the Portuguese league. So it tells you sort of how good they are, and I can see them going deep into the competition. How have now made it into the top 8, so they'll avoid the playoff. So it'll be interesting to see how far they go in that. But you mentioned the second goal for me, just I touched on there. You don't see that in school playgrounds, really. For me, Tav is culpable with the ball over the top, but Jack Butland, for me, takes more of the blame for that one, Chris, because he has to come out. But it's ball man and everything for me. You have to be more commanding there. If you clatter into James Tavernier, so be it. But it was just a real comical goal to concede. It was very Russell Martin-esque when he was in charge, shall we say.
And it's the type of thing that we've just, as I touched on there, we've not really seen that type of mistake under Danny Rule. They have looked a lot more composed. And if you are the manager, there's some things that you can do an awful lot about in the way that you set the team up, the things that you work on in training, the phases of play. There's some things that you just can't legislate for, and you cannot legislate for your goalkeeper, a former England keeper, and perhaps a player of the season so far, and your captain being involved in a goal like that. So Tav takes the blame initially. Like you, I think Butland takes more of the blame after that, and the second phase of it, and the slow-mo replay of it, where you see the angle from behind the goal. You've got the Porto player knocking the ball over the line from a couple of yards, and the Rangers keeper and captain try to pick each other up off the ground, wondering what actually happened. So I think if you're the manager, I'm sure he'll say in his press conference that Josh is away downstairs in the stadium to go and see him just now. I think he'll make that point that he'll be really, really disappointed and frustrated with the manner of the goals. Second half, I think Porto took their foot off the gas a wee bit, so that perhaps saved Rangers. But in the end, it doesn't mean a great deal as long as we don't see a repetition of that at any stage over the remaining X number of games that we've got left this year.
Yep. Neil gets in touch and says Derek Tav was dreadful for that goal. Butland not blameless, but more on Tav for me. Yeah, basically the pair of them never covered themselves in glory, and they should both take the blame for that. But Sven, looking on the bright side, says, don't let the game bother you so much, lad. It's a nothing game. Europe has been done for weeks. Yeah, I know that. And that is, I think there was a realisation tonight it would be a real tough test for Rangers, and the likelihood is they would get beat. But that second half, I think, deserve a bit of credit to stem the tide. Some points in that, some points in the first half. That tackle from Emmanuel Fernandez, incidentally, last-ditch tackle, was one of the best tackles I think I've ever seen. I was about to go off my rocker when VAR was checking it, Chris, because you see so often in these matches, it's pretty much non-contact, and if a player is crumpled in a heap, they think, oh, there must have been a foul committed there, but that should not take away from that tackle from him. It was immense. Should hopefully add another 10 million quid onto his valuation, maybe.
I can only imagine the scenes in your living room as that tackle was being assessed. If that had been given as a penalty, the game would officially have been gone. He does really well to cover the ground. He times the challenge really, really well. Of course, he takes a bit of the player, but there's no way that's going to be a penalty and that's a foul. If you can't time a challenge that well and tackle like that, then we are as well just packing up and going home, aren't we? So I think it was a really good challenge. In terms of his value, there's also been a fair bit of chat about that over the last couple of days. Obviously, Darragh McAntony on Sky Sports was interested on that particular point earlier on as well. I think the European campaign overall for Manny has been a learning curve, to put it lightly. He's stepped up several levels from where he has been playing the last couple of seasons. And you think back just a couple of seasons before that, the lower reaches of English game, for him to be playing at this level is quite something. I know he spoke a bit about it a couple of times over the course of the season, being able to kind of make that step up. He's still raw, obviously. He's still got mistakes in him, but I think he would have learned an awful lot from this European campaign. And if he's still at the club next season, hopefully he can take that into a Champions League campaign, shall we say.
Yep. I want to take Robert to task here. He says, let me get the comment up. Where is it? He says, Derek, have the conviction to stand by your first summation. It was Butland's fault all night long. I did say the pair of them never covered themselves in glory, but Butland takes more of the blame, Robert. So that is what I had to say on that one. Just incidentally, just on Fernandes, he was on Sky. This is what he said, folks. About selling him to Rangers in the summer. Says, my fans, the geniuses last summer, were slaughtering me when I came out and said that I was going to sell him for many millions, because we knew going into last summer, before Rangers came in, we had offers from 2 Serie A clubs. This guy, because the world is now data-driven, and I knew if you looked at the data, that guy under 24 as a centre-half stood out data-wise to every club in the world. I knew if he went to Scotland, he would score loads of goals because he's a danger at every set piece. If someone got a trick out of him and a tune out of him properly with the talent he's got, he'd go again. I am very happy to say we've got a nice sell-on and we'll make millions more. We picked him up for less than $5,000 from the level below. So there you go, Darragh McAntony laughing all the way to the bank. Second half, of course, a number of changes. Oliver Antman came on after his injury layoff, as John Suter we touched on, came on at half-time. Thought he did reasonably well. He's certainly a shoe-in to start at Easter Road on Sunday in place of Nasser Jiga, who again looking his suspect self tonight, I've got to say, certainly against top opposition. He's just not cut out for that level for me. Max Aarons had a point in the second half, Chris, that really infuriated myself, given that the modern game and the cameras and the VR and everything you've got to dive. He was booked by the referee, so fair credit to him. That was a disgraceful act from Max Aarons, looking for a penalty. He does miss the next European match, so poor him, but don't want to see that.
He may have to wait some time for that ban to be separate that way. Whoever actually has him in a squad fitness European game, they better check their paperwork, because people might forget that ban is actually still in force. It was just silly, wasn't it? You're never going to win a penalty in that situation, as you say, with a number of cameras and angles and all the technology that's there now. You're not going to get away with it, so don't even bother trying. He's not had a good season, has he? There's been a couple of games where he's been fine, but overall, I think if you're going to weigh up the pros and cons of the transfer market, I know opinions have shifted on a couple of the summer recruits of late, but I think the initial opinions on Max Aarons, they've never shifted in a positive manner, and they're probably not going to now. So not a European campaign. I'm mentioning that night in Bruges, he was also involved briefly in that night. So not a European campaign that's going to live long in the memory.
Nah. I think Rangers played this before. It's for a conversation for another day, but there's a conversation to be had at right back. I think Rangers need reinforcements in there. Probably doubtful it's going to happen in January. As I said earlier on, Rangers are not going to come up against a team like that for the rest of the season, but certainly in the summertime they need to get someone that's decent in there as a priority. Lots of comments come in saying, to Andrew and many others saying, transfer Chris, forget the game. But we're both on tomorrow, of course, on the briefing. So I think we'll probably leave tomorrow's show for a bit of a in-depth look at transfers. But as Daniel said in his press conference yesterday, and I'm sure he'll probably be asked in that press conference tonight, Chris, he's expecting a crazy end to the window.
crazy was not the word I was hoping I was going to use. I was hoping to see a quiet and relaxing end of the window, and we'll sign a striker on Friday night, and that'll be that. No, I think, as we've said, right throughout the window, Rangers will be as active as they possibly can. Another couple of names have come up today, obviously. So we'll save that for the morning, and a bit more of a in-depth look at where Rangers are and where they could be heading in terms of the last 72 hours or so of this window.
Yeah. Right, folks, I think we'll call it a day there for now. As I said, myself and Chris on the night shift and on the early shift as well. So you're getting your money's worth out of myself and Mr. Jack, that's for sure. As we touched on, Joshua down in the bills of the Stadio Dragao. He is speaking to Danny Rule, so it'll be interesting to hear what he has to say on what unfolded this evening. That press conference will be with you over on the YouTube channel anytime now, I'd imagine. So keep your eyes peeled for that. The transcript, as ever, will be on the website. A disappointing end to a forgettable European campaign, that's for sure. Not many highlights. I mentioned at the top of the show, probably the first half against Pilsen, the game against Panathinaikos, the Ibrox game, and then I wouldn't even put Ludogorets in there because it was just a bit I mean, it was a win, but that was it. I don't think we're going to look back on that. And there's going to be a highlight reels of that win over Ludogorets. But we'll just consign this year to a history, and hopefully Rangers are back competing at the top table next season. So we can but hope. Safe journey home to all the Bears that headed out to Porto for the game. I know that thousands of you travelled out, so fair credit to each and every one of you. And we'll wrap up there for tonight, folks. Big thanks to Chris. Thank you to you all for tuning in to the show. Sweet dreams, and we'll speak to you tomorrow morning. Bye for now.